Welcome to the end of day review for Friday, the 12th of January 2024. Starting off with the economic calendar for the London session, we had GBP GDP news. This was positive, supporting longs for GBPUSD, and then for the New York session, we had PPI. This was negative for the USD and thus again supported longs for the USD. Thus, the news releases aligned with our 4H narrative, which was pretty good, and it enabled us to take long positions. Looking at the 4-hour charts, what we can see is that market structure remains confirmed bullish. At the start of the day, just before we actually came to the charts, we saw that the 4H primary leg was validated, the counter trend pullback leg was invalidated, and now our only objective was to trade longs. However, there was some in between reading the lines and a bit of judgment, because yesterday, or rather Thursday's CPI news was actually for the USD actually wicked up and then continued downwards. This spike up can be seen as a drawn liquidity just because the news was actually positive for the USD and supported that the GBP USD sells off, so this week can somewhat be discounted. And then if we actually just pay attention to what's happening right here, then we can actually conclude that the real primary leg high is this rather than this. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you use this as your previous high of the day, what you'll see is that the high of the day was created before the low of the day, making the market direction in this downward direction, which is not ideal because it doesn't align with our trading narrative. Perhaps to explain that further, you can see this particular areas, and what I just marked out was this. So if we consider the previous high of today is actually this, then anchoring our fib will be in this direction rather than this direction because we want to trade longs. So if we apply a bit of judgment and say that this week is a bit is an abnormality, and actually focus on this being the real high of the day, and then we can conclude that today has actually extended the 4H primary leg, then we can anchor our fib to this high of the day. Given that they're so close, you can probably use this as the current high of the day, and then anchor your fib accordingly. Your other alternative is to actually say that you have two options for trading, one being based on the previous low of the day and the other being the previous Asia range, and then taking an entry here. However, given that we're applying judgment with where the real primary leg 4H extension is, and if it was actually extended today, then it makes more sense to rather just stick with the extreme, which is higher probability, especially because we don't actually know if this is the real high of today. Anyway, we got into this entry, which was pretty good. Which was pretty good, and it was a bit. Where I put my entry was just trying to take into account a bit of this week while also trying to balance the stop loss. I guess in hindsight it would have been okay to actually use a 20 pip stop loss, but to be fair, I wasn't too concerned with price coming back. I was more so hoping for price to actually reach the target in 123 was certainly possible, although not ideally. However, it was a matter of judgment in terms of where you put your stop loss. Both were valid, but I picked this point, which was fine. The other issue I ran into was no follow through. So as you can see, as we came towards the end of the day, price didn't actually reach the daily range and somewhat pulled back. Usually the optimal exit time is around the end of the London cross, but what you can see is price started pulling back an hour before that, which wasn't ideal, and then I just held the trade until quite close to um, the end of the market close on Friday, and because of that I got out with about a 0 0.4, I want to say, target, I'll just have to double check, but I didn't actually get a chance to actually take profits here because when price reached this point, I was like, okay, I'll break even, and my target is just there, so it made sense to hold. It wasn't that far of a distance, but yeah, there was no follow through, and I held till pretty late, so I took about, I think it was a zero point 0.8 actually, somewhere around there, a zero point 0.8 R. Yeah, zero point 0.8 to zero point 0.9 R. It was closed right around this area, right here. Anyway, that's the end of day review. There were a couple of trade opportunities. Unfortunately, the follow through wasn't great, and yeah, that's just part of trading. Other than that, we'll chat soon for the pre London outlook on Monday.